Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and welcome to this new episode of Sudan in Focus weekly news magazine, which focuses on Sudan news and events, aims to give the Sudan TV audience a broad and first-hand information about what is going on in Sudan. So let's go.
President of the Transitional Sovereignty Council, TSC, and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, congratulated the people of Sudan and the Islamic nation on the advent of the blessed Eid al-Adha. He said in a tweet posted on his account on the X platform, congratulating the patient and steadfast Sudanese people on the blessed Eid al-Adha. In these blessed days, we are becoming more confident and certain that we will achieve complete victory in the battle of dignity and a return of the homeland to its normal condition, secure, strong and united, the homeland of freedom, peace and justice. Happy New Year to the Sudanese people and the Islamic nation.
The chairman of the Sovereign Council, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, performed the Eid al-Adha prayer in the Qalwi of Sheikh al-Sharif Adrub in the village of Tamila, the locality of Ganab and Alip in the Red Sea state.
President of the Transitional Sovereignty Council, TSC, and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, received a congratulatory cable from Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on the occasion of Eid al-Adha. In his cable, Sisi expressed his wishes good health and happiness to the TSC President and the people of Sudan, praying to Almighty Allah to return this occasion to the Arab and Islamic nations with goodness, righteousness, and blessings. President of the Transitional Sovereignty Council, TSC, and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, received a congratulatory cable from President of the Republic of Algeria, Abdelmajid Tebboune, on the occasion of Eid al-Adha. Tebboune expressed his wishes to the President of the Transitional Sovereignty Council and the people of Sudan stability, prosperity, and progress, and that Eid will return with goodness, prosperity, and blessings to the Arab and Islamic nations. Tebboune stressed his country's permanent keenness to strengthen the bonds of brotherhood and promote cooperation and solidarity in a way that serves the two brotherly peoples.
President of the Transitional Sovereignty Council, TSC, and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, on the occasion of his re-election to a new presidential term. In his cable, al-Burhan expressed his sincere congratulations for the Indian Prime Minister, wishing him health and wellness, and to the Indian people, who re-elected him for the second term of office, and affirmed their confidence in his wise leadership, for further development and prosperity. Member of the Transitional Sovereignty Council, TSC, and Deputy Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, General Shamsuddin Kabashi, arrived on Sunday morning in the River Nile State, and was received at Atbara Airport by the acting Wali, Governor, of the River Nile State, Chairman of the Security Committee, Mohammed al-Badawi Abd al-Majid Abu Goran, and members of the State Security Committee and a number of artillery commanders. His Excellency performed Eid al-Adha prayer at the Army Mosque in Atbara. General Kabashi praised the efforts and initiatives of the Nile River State Government and the joint coordination between the executive and security authorities to extend security and stability in the state. Member of the Transitional Sovereignty Council, TSC, and Deputy Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, General Shamsuddin Kabashi, praised the efforts undertaken by the native administrations in strengthening the social fabric, rejecting tribal and regional differences, and extending community peace and security. During his meeting with the delegation of West Kordofan State at his office in Port Sudan Tuesday, His Excellency was briefed on the overall situation in the state, stressing the importance of promoting peaceful coexistence among the components of the people of West Kordofan, enhancing the value of the nation, elevating its status, and protecting its lands. member of the Transitional Sovereignty Council, TSC, and Assistant Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, General Yasser Abdulrahman Hassan al-Atta, affirmed that the armed forces have become better off, as their capabilities have developed exponentially compared to what they were at the beginning of the war. This came when he was addressing officers and soldiers in the Omdurman military area, as part of his tour to the sites on the occasion of Eid al-Adha. A member of the Transitional Sovereignty Council, Assistant Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Naval Engineer Ibrahim Jaber, met in his office on Thursday with a delegation of the General Coordination of the Sons of Rizagat at home and abroad. During the meeting, His Excellency stressed the need for concerted official and popular efforts to break the rebellion and achieve peace and stability in the country.
And the United Arab Emirates is the state that is sponsoring terrorism.
In its statement before the Security Council meeting on the quarterly briefing of the chairman of the Darfur Sanctions Committee, Sudan called on the UN Security Council to take firm and clear measures to condemn the actions of the terrorist rebel Rapid Support Forces, RSF, militias and send a strong and unequivocal message that the international community will not condone this ongoing aggression against civilians, and that the perpetrators of these heinous crimes will be brought before justice and be held accountable for their actions before national and international courts.
Meeting in its required format so that your esteemed council is not able to complete what remains, which is to condemn the UAE in sponsoring this aggression. Sudan is not the only one who demanded this. This was demanded by the United Nations, by the US, by a large group of newspapers and investigators in the US, the UK and others. The UAE is the accused, and the accused cannot be a partner in peace and cannot submit any kind of agreement or proposal to that. What he claims is what you and your council have. You have thanked the government of Sudan for its cooperation. You have thanked the government for not stopping in the way of aid and for issuing permits and visas. And the money that is being given under the pretext of humanitarian is something that the Sudanese people do not need. Sudan would be richer than the UAE if it has stability. Sudan will be the richest country in the world. The UAE must stay away from Sudan. That is the first requirement that will allow for stability in Sudan. It must stop its support. We have submitted to you, Mr. President, a week ago, 6 UAE passports that we found in Khartoum in joint operations perpetrated by the Rapid Response Forces. And you have not published this as we have asked. We did not steal these passports from the suitcases of UAE citizens. In the UAE, we found them in the heart of the battlefield. We found other passports as well, Chadian passports as well. And we asked your council to release them, to publicize them. But we always notice that there is one side that is hindering this. The people of Sudan deserve peace.
In the name of God, most compassionate, most merciful, Mr. President, High Commissioner, heads of delegation, I would like
The Attorney General of the Republic of Sudan, Yasser Bashir Bukhari, in his capacity as chairman of the National Committee to investigate war crimes and violations and practices of the rebel terrorist Rapid Support Forces, RSF, addressed Tuesday afternoon the Human Rights Council during an oral briefing on the human rights situation in Sudan.
The United Arab Emirates is the state that is sponsoring terrorism, that is a racist kind of terrorism, and this has been proven by the report issued by your own council, by the panel of experts, since in December 2023. This was clarified in the report. We have presented to you all the data, all the evidence, and all the imagery, and we have submitted all this to your esteemed council for it to be discussed. However, the United Arab Emirates, in act and because of its intentions, did not allow us to hold this meeting in its required format so that your esteemed council is not able to complete what remains, which is to condemn the UAE in sponsoring this aggression. Sudan is not the only one who demanded this. This was demanded by the United Nations, by the US, by a large group of newspapers and investigators in the US, the UK and others, the UAE is the accused, and the accused cannot be a partner in peace and cannot submit any kind of agreement or proposal to that. What he claims is what you and your council have. You have thanked the government of Sudan for its cooperation. You have thanked the government for not stopping in the way of aid and for issuing permits and visas. And the money that is being given under the pretext of humanitarian is something that the Sudanese people do not need. Sudan would be richer than the UAE if it has stability. Sudan will be the richest country in the world. The UAE must stay away from Sudan. That is the first requirement that will allow for stability in Sudan. It must stop its support. We have submitted to you, Mr. President, a week ago, 6 UAE passports that we found in Khartoum in joint operations perpetrated by the rapid response forces. And you have not published this as we have asked. We did not steal these passports from the suitcases of UAE citizens. In the UAE, we found them in the heart of the battlefield. We found other passports as well, Chadian passports as well. And we ask your council to release them, to publicize them. But we always notice that there is one side that is hindering this. The people of Sudan deserve peace. They deserve peace, and the Sudanese people can make their own peace as long as the UAE stays away from them. As for the Jeddah talks, Sudan is a foundational member in this forum. Ask Ambassador Linda about this. Sudan was the first to participate. The rapid support militias that is supported and sponsored by the UAE and incited to fight in the Sudan to perpetrate crimes and rapes, those militias are the ones that stood in the way of implementing the Jeddah commitments. We do not fear anything because right is on our side and the sword of righteousness is sharp. Therefore, we hope that you could publicize the evidence that we submitted to you in the closed meeting, which contains these 6 passports, so we could prove to those who do not know how involved the UAE is in the Sudanese war, where thousands of Sudanese were killed. We don't want any support from the UAE because Allah is our greatest supporter. Sudan supports, when Sudan supported states and supported liberation movements, the UAE wasn't even on the map. Therefore, we know how evil they are, and we know we are the ones who created the path for our glorious present with our own arms and with our own intelligence. Therefore, I ask your esteemed council to speak bravely and to take the last required step, which is to openly mention and condemn the UAE so that it would stop this war. I thank you, sir.
It is just lies when you say the Sudanese or SAF has bombarded citizens while they are encircled within. And the encirclement is actually affected by the RSF, including their armament and their, the mercenaries coming from Chad, southern Libya, and beyond, even in the Sahel, from the Sahel. So the situation now, even in the second day on Friday, the RSF has attacked Al-Fashir and has killed many citizens in Al-Fashir, has destroyed yesterday the southern hospital in Al-Fashir, and Sudan government will cooperate with the Security Council vis-a-vis their duties in trying to protect the civilians. They are not actually holding any citizen from leaving the town or the city because they are actually besieged and encircled. But they will escort anybody who wanted to go out from Al-Fashir. But actually, it will not desist from defending the city. It will not desist from defending the city until the last soldier, because this is a Sudanese terrain, a Sudanese territory, and we have duty constitutionally to defend Al-Fashir. Because the RSF wanted again to commit a racial cleansing or an ethnic cleansing. They are targeting specific people from the Zagawa tribe. I have named them. And they have committed it before. They are repeating it again in an ugly scenario. So Sudanese armed forces will defend Al-Fashir to the last soldier.
Could I just ask you, at the end of your remarks, you said that U.S. weapons are being used. You're saying that the UAE, weapons the UAE has purchased from the US? Yeah,
because actually we delivered this evidence. We delivered this evidence. I said there are 2 missiles of an American made. This is not an accusation to the US, of course. It has been found, and I think we informed the US authorities about it. In this respect, even in the last week when I submitted my supplement to the Security Council, we also placed some images regarding all weapons that we have found or seized from all different make, including Europeans, including beyond, including other countries in the EU and other Asian countries. We have a list of them. But when I say that, there are the military would know specific weapons that is lethal. How did they find their way to the Khartoum? So this is when the Wall Street Journal and New York Times have said it, that they unleashed their investigation against the United Arab Emirates, and they name it. So when the what do you call it? The PR of the UAE, he's attacking me now. He said I'm telling the council lies. I have corroboration. I'm a lawyer. I don't deal or trade in lies. We have corroboration from other actors. We have corroboration from human rights, investigative journalism, and the Congress members who wrote a letter to the UAE authorities and beyond. So we are dead sure that we have a case, we have a good case, we have substantiated it legally, and we will ask the Security Council just to walk the walk and try to name and shame the UAE and to lay pressure on it to stop supplying arms to the RSF.
Could I just ask you one more? Since the UAE ambassador kept referring to you as the SAF representative.
Yes.
As opposed to the ambassador of Sudan, one country.
Yes, yes.
What is your reaction to that?
Yes, I think this is a ludicrous kind of characterization. I am recognized here by the Secretary General as the representative of the government of Sudan, not the representative of SAF. I am not a military person. I'm a lawyer. I'm a civilian. And actually, in Sudan, there is no military regime. This regime, the military elements, have been chosen after the revolution, together with the civilian sectors who made the government in the post-revolution. The civilian government resigned, and they came again, and they agreed with the military components, and then the prime minister resigned, and his government resigned accordingly. So they were not dismissed. So we have never seen in the classic coups or the man in the horse when a person makes a coup against himself. Number two, there is no muzzling of the press. Sudanese people used to shout down, to take to the streets, to demonstrate willingly. And there is no muzzling of the press. There is freedom of assembly is being guaranteed even after the war. Until the war went even further after that, maybe state of emergency have been declared when the RSF attacked the citizen areas and the residential areas so that they displaced the citizens for good reason they wanted. Because they get other people from the Sahel who are now occupying the towns, the residents and abodes, citizen abodes and facilities in Khartoum and in Durman. So this is one of the things that we said. If the RSF wanted to make peace, they have to remove their occupants, foreign occupants who are occupying the Sudanese houses and abodes. So calling me as a SAF representative does not augur well, in as much as he is an RSF mentor. He is a vicious RSF mentor because RSF is no longer a governmental body, but a killer. So the machine killer of the RSF is being supported by the RSF, by the representative, by the PR himself, states, with due respect. So I'm not worried by whatever he calls me. I can defend myself well, and I don't feel ashamed to serve my country at this difficult time, and at this tragedy being, by attacking Sudanese, not only Sudanese government or his army, attacking even the citizens and the vulnerables. So I have the honor to serve my Sudan in this difficult time, and I don't give a damn for whatever the PR of UAE said of depicting me, of representative of this or that. I am here, the representative of the government of Sudan, until other notice.
In the name of God, most compassionate, most merciful, Mr. President, High Commissioner, heads of delegation, I would like to congratulate the President of the Council, Mr. Ambassador Omar Zonaiber, for his wise management of our work, and the High Commissioner, Mr. Turk. I address you as a public prosecutor of the Republic of Sudan, an independent institution and head of the Independent Commission of Inquiry that looks into violations perpetrated since April 2023, because your council is an international mechanism dealing with justice, accountability, and ending impunity. The world has witnessed violations and crimes perpetrated by the RSF against unarmed civilians, such as killing, displacement, systematic attacks against civilians that amount to genocide west of Darfur, and other crimes, as well as the massacre in Wad Noura in Al Jazeera Governorate, which was condemned by the High Commissioner, as well as blatant attacks that led to 21 deaths and 15 casualties. You have followed the acts by the rebel forces who killed the governor of Khamis, Mr. Abkar, who mutilated his corpse. And you have also seen crimes and serious violations against children and women, such as rape, sexual violence that targeted more than 216 women and girls, as well as forced conscription of more than 6,000 children. Children displaced because of these warring activities amount up to 4,850 child. Mr. President, since the rebellion started in April 2023, the RSF continued to attack civilian infrastructure and houses, which led to the displacement of more than 15 million citizens inside the country and outside the country. They attacked religious sites, mosques, cultural sites, museums, archive centers that were looted, burned, or sabotaged. They have also hampered the activities of more than 120 hospitals. In their attempt to spread lawlessness, the rebel forces have invaded the 31 prisons, released inmates in many governorates, namely about 19,000 inmates were released illegally. They attacked 7 airports, water and electricity plants, 18 embassies and diplomatic missions, and headquarters of international organizations. This was a blatant violation of international law. They also attacked law enforcement agencies, courts, looted them, destroyed them, sabotaged them, and destroyed the documents, and killed the police and horses and dogs. Mr. President, the rebel forces have also obstructed the distribution of humanitarian assistance, targeted humanitarian staff, and attacked livestock and crops in Al Jazeera Governorate. The rebel forces have perpetrated all these crimes by resorting as well to foreign mercenaries, which is a violation of international and regional agreements. Our National Commission has respected the principles of fair trial, right of a defendant to have a defense counsel, and to have legal aid by the Ministry of Justice. We have received more than 12,000 cases and lawsuits. We have classified the rebel forces as a terrorist organization according to the law and relevant Security Council resolutions. We have also referred more than 65 criminal cases to the national courts, and we have seen some judgments of acquittals or condemnation being published later on. I would like to reiterate to you, Mr. President, that our national judicial institutions are keen on implementing the rule of law, achieving justice, giving redress to the victims, and ending impunity. And we are ready to engage in technical cooperation. We ask the international community for the following. First of all, to submit the technical assistance that Sudan is asking for in the field of criminal investigations, law enforcement. We ask for we call upon neighboring countries to facilitate the work of our commission so that we can have access to the victims, witnesses, and stolen assets. Third, to provide to assist in establishing an international fund for redress and compensation. Four, to provide technical and legal assistance, including consultative assistance. And five, to enact the principle of complementarity.
Fishing in Sudan is largely carried out by the traditional sector of subsistence, although a number of small operators also use the country major reservoir and the rivers to catch fish for sale locally and in nearby urban centers. Also, some modern fishing venture mainly on Lake Nubia and the Red Sea. Sudan's total production of fish, shellfish, and other fishing products had significant growth in recent years. Production averaged 58,000 tons a year, with estimates by the Ministry of Livestock Services of potential yearly catch of 150,000 tons from the Red Sea. The principal sources of fish is the Nile River system. Further, several lakes and reservoirs were formed by the damming of the river and its branches. The 180 kilometers sections of Lake Nubia in Sudan and reservoirs behind the Osiris and Sinar dams on the Blue Nile, the Jabal al-Awliya Dam on the White Nile, and the Khashm al-Girba Dam on the Atbara River. Production from Lake Nubia was initially below its potential. In 1973, private sector started operations. An ice plant and a cold storage facility were built at Wadi Halfa with assistance from China. China also furnished finishing vessels and other fishing requirements. Coaling plants at Khartoum and Atbara had fish transported from Wadi Halfa by railroad. Fish and fisheries of Lake Victoria and Lake Tana as natural examples of tropical large water bodies of the Nile Basin. The combined surface area of these lakes is 75% of the total of the 5 tropical lakes of the Nile Basin. They are also important because they lie at the source of both the White Nile and the Blue Nile, respectively. Their main fishes are representative of the fish species in the other lakes. Sudan is a country with a very large surface area, almost 3 million kilometers. Its inland water bodies occupy only 114,000 kilometers during periods of water level. The inland fisheries of Sudan are based on the Nile River tributaries, contributing over 90% of the estimated production potential of the country. The swaps in the south and the man-made lakes on the White Nile, the Blue Nile, Atbara River, and the main Nile River, Lake Nasser portion in Sudan-Nubia coast as the major fishing localities with respect to the fish sources, magnitude, and exploitation. Thus, the total fish production of the various inland water bodies and wetlands are estimated at 50,000 tons a year. And the Red Sea State Shore many fisheries location is divided into 7 geographical management areas as Coast Coral Reef, North Dongona Bay is include the UNESCO list of the World Heritage Sites, the Sanganib Atoll, Makawar Island Marine National Park, Marsa and Sawakin City, and Agag. There are many famous fish market locations in Sudan, such as Maurada Fish Market, Omdurman in Khartoum, the capital, Al Sigala Fish Market in Port Sudan, and White Nile State Fish Market, and etc. So, Sudan is a country of opportunities.
It was a meeting that lamented the lack of progress in bringing Sudan's conflict to heel. 14 months that has torn the country apart, while creating the largest displacement crisis in the world, with Sudan's envoy landing the first undiplomatic blow.
The military aggression launched by the rapid support militias supported with weapons by the Emirates is deliberately and systematically targeting the villages and cities. They benefit from the fact that the Security Council did not take a decisive position to end their activities. The militias want to put an end to the protection of civilians, to fragment the populations working on agriculture and disrupt the agricultural season to lead to further deficiency in food security.
Arab Emirates has long denied its military involvement in Sudan, writing to the Security Council in April that it was not supplying any arms or ammunition to any faction engaged in the ongoing conflict. A council resolution adopted 5 days ago also urged all UN member states to refrain from external interference which seeks to foment instability in Sudan. This response appeared to anger Sudan's envoy, who took to the floor again to claim Sudan's armed forces had discovered 6 UAE passports in the heart of the battlefield in Khartoum, accusing the UAE of sponsoring terrorism in his country, while urging the council to openly condemn the Gulf nation.
The UAE is the accused, and the accused cannot be a partner in peace and cannot submit any kind of agreement or proposal to that. What he claims is what you and your council have. You have thanked the government of Sudan for its cooperation. You have thanked the government for not stopping in the way of aid and for issuing permits and visas. And the money that is being given under the pretext of humanitarian is something that the Sudanese people do not need. Sudan would be richer than the UAE if it has stability. Sudan will be the richest country in the world. The UAE must stay away from Sudan. That is the first requirement that will allow for stability in Sudan.
Wall Street Journal report last August that it was covertly sending arms and ammunition to the RSF, hidden in aid shipments meant for Sudanese refugees. Sherwin Ricepeas, SABC News, New York.
Wild animals means forms of animal and plant that can play an essential role in preserving the natural balance of life on our planet. The economic importance of wild animals in Sudan is represented in the natural resources beside exports of wild animals that can make a significant contribution to the total value of Sudanese export. It also include state revenues from local fees such as customs, quarantine, taxes, and zakat. Wild animals also have economic importance in achieving food security and non-monetary importance represented in the role they play through their interaction with the environment to achieve a natural balance and to enhance tourism, heritage, education. Sudan is considered to have the environmental, economic, and social components for the success of any investment projects, as there are currently, according to available data, the reserve is one of 10 global reserves classified as biosphere reserves because it contains the rarest species of animals and birds, as it includes 27 species of small mammal, 200 species of bird, and 32 species of fish and other reptiles and other animal species.
وقف الجيش كرب ربط القاش سميح ودقش الهيج سرب.
وقعت رب وقف الجيش كرب ربط القاش سميح ودقش الهيج سرب.
يا عيال انتفاف اللي تورط ونهب
ربط القاش سميح ودقش الهيج سرب.
السوى الكمين والشرق نصب
ربط القاش سميح ودقش الهيج سرب.
يا عيال انتفاف اللي تورط ونهب
ربط القاش سميح ودقش الهيج سرب.
السوى الكمين والشرق نصب من دقدق العيش وشوف وشين كعب.
وقعت رب وقف الجيش كرب ربط القاش سميح ودقش الهيج سرب.
أمن الحدود درس وحبس حكى سار الليل بلا حل وكبس. أمن الحدود درس وحبس حكى سار الليل بلا حل وكبس. لا يم يابس وقت الطاير كنس.
وقعت رب وقف الجيش كرب ربط القاش سميح ودقش الهيج سرب.
مرفعين الليل قابلوا الخبر شون عدد مون وسير طوف دفر. مرفعين الليل قابلوا الخبر شون عدد مون وسير طوف دفر. كتيبة واسي قش تعدي النفر.
وقعت رب وقف الجيش كرب ربط القاش سميح ودقش الهيج سرب.
والسلم نحن من لما بشر ملاك في الحرب نحن بلوى الله لا وراك. في السلم نحن من لما بشر ملاك في الحرب نحن بلوى الله لا وراك. نرقص صقر نعرض عز اللي اشتباك.
وقعت رب وقف الجيش كرب ربط القاش سميح ودقش الهيج سرب.
اوهو يا ولاد هنا يدر عليكم جاي.
القاش سميح ودقش الهيج سرب.
يا لمين تندفنوا فيها ونسمع الروراي ما هساي بهم لا صبر ولا نساي
وقعت رب وقف الجيش كرب ربط القاش سميح ودقش الهيس سرب
ما وقعت الرب وقف الجيش كرب ربط القاش سميح ودقش الهيس سرب
ما وقعت رب